Peace, family. Peace, 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 peace. All right, so I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day. If not, honey, do get that your day is going to get better once that perception is tainted, right? Once that perception gets better, your day is going to get better. So today's video, I wanted to talk about surrendering, right? And how anxiety and depression will cause you to surrender, honey. So a lot of you guys, if you are new to my channel, I welcome you. If you are, if you've been around for a while, rocking out to my videos, I so appreciate you guys, because honey, you could have been anywhere else on here, but I am so glad and thankful that you did. So where do this stems from? So a lot of you guys, if you have watched my video, or if you know me from Facebook, doing live videos, you guys know I always talk about mental health and my experience with dealing with or experiencing anxiety and depression. I do not like saying, oh, I have depression, or I had this, or I had that, because I feel as though when you speak those things into existence, it creates more of it, okay? And so I remember this one particular day I had went to a psychologist because I needed something just to get me through work, okay? I was working at this hardware store, and I don't know, I just felt other than myself. When I went to the psychologist, she told me that I had an imbalance, meaning that it was something that was going on within my mind, that it was not balanced. And I remember being, in a hardware store, and customers come up to me and they would ask me questions and stuff like that. And it was times where as though I would freeze, right? Like a deer in headlights. That's what the psychologist, she described it as. And I said, yes. And I didn't know that I was going through that in order for me to get to my purpose. See, sometimes source is trying to get your attention, and because you're not going willfully, sometimes it creates ripple effects in your life, right? And this was like one of those things. I did not know what to do. In fact, when I started taking the medication, one of my coworkers had said to me, she said, "Dina, you aggressive." And I knew, honey, because I'm many things, but aggressive is not one, okay? And I knew that had something to do with the medication that I was taking. And so I stopped taking it, and I started getting into herbs, started taking things like, catnip, blue vervain, valerian root, and that's what worked for me. So make sure you guys do your own research, do what works for you. This is not me giving out medical advice. I just needed an alternative. And so before I started taking the herbs, I just felt it was a lot going on. It was so much stress. I would allow people to talk to me any old type of way without defending myself. One of the things I always would say at that time, I would say, well, God isn't going to put anything on my plate that I can't bear. So maybe this is God saying I could bear, this verbal abuse, mental abuse, whatever. Maybe this is God's way of saying that I could go through it, right? And I didn't understand that the people who we tend to have around us, that is a big, let me tell you something. Your environment is more important than your genetics. Okay, let me say that again. Your environment is more important than your genetics. What are you tolerating? Who are you being around? I don't care if it's family. I don't care if it's friends. If it is doing something to your spirit, honey, you do not deserve to be around that, okay? I don't care who say, well, you should tolerate it. They just doing the best that they know how to do. I do believe in self-love. You guys know I'm a big advocate for self-love. And I also believe that Just because someone is doing the best that they know how to do, that does not mean that I have to go through and allow them to treat me any old type of way. See, people only do what you allow them to do. And if you keep on tolerating it, being around it, it's going to do something to your spirit. While all the others is saying, girl, you should tolerate it. Girl, you know he trying to do better. Honey, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Okay, remember this. You come first. If you don't come first, if you don't put you first, honey, who is going to put you first? Okay? Who is going to put you first? So a lot of times we got to reprogram, right? We got to reprogram our stinking thinking. We got to reprogram, stop tolerating things because it's family. Stop tolerating things because, I've been this way. Stop tolerating things because people aren't willing to grow, okay? And I get it. We all heal and grow at different times, but you have to do what's best for you. And another reason why you may be experiencing anxiety and depression, your spirit is sick of you playing this role. Playing this role of you being perfect, this role of you telling people, no, I'm fine, this role of never speaking up for yourself. Your spirit is sick of it. And so how is it going to get your attention? It's going to start, your body is going to start feeling some type of way. Remember, before disease is manifested, it is manifested in the spiritual realm first, and then manifested into depression, anxiety, or whatever. But it's manifested spiritually first, okay? So some of the things that I started doing, I hope this helped you guys. I started being mindful who I hang around. I started, just because, people are not willing to do the work, that does not mean I have to tolerate it. Okay? I stopped feeling guilty for putting people on block. Okay? Because what I realized was this: the universe is always giving us lessons, right? Life is always giving us lessons. And if you keep on going through the same exact thing and you're not getting the lessons, you're going to keep on repeating the course. So while everybody else say, well, girl, you should tolerate it, they're not the ones that's going through it. They're not the ones that's feeling the anxiety and depression. They're not the ones that's up crying. They're not the ones that nerves is so bad. They're not the ones who can't function at work. They're not the ones who's going to the psychologist to get medicine just so they could cope with themselves. They're not the ones that's going through it. So you got to do what works for you. And this is another thing. When you start being by yourself, getting to know thyself, hanging with thyself, okay? You don't care if that person or if those family members, those friends, they like you or, mess with you. You don't care. You don't care. Why? Because you validate who you are. You love who you are. And so you're going to speak up. You're going to say some things that's going to piss some people off. You're going to do some blocking. You're going to create the boundaries and let people know exactly that you have boundaries. That's another thing. Boundaries is a must. Stop going through life like you don't have the right to create boundaries. I used to feel that way. I used to feel like, when I first started creating boundaries, telling people my boundaries, it was a part of my ego that was saying, who gives you the right to create boundaries? Because no one ever told me about boundaries. And so that's why I was allowing people to run amok over my life, because no one ever told me about boundaries. And there's no way you can have high self-esteem if you don't implement boundaries into your life. The boundaries is to protect you. The boundaries is to let you know, to let other people know, listen, we will not be doing this. We shall not do this. We won't do this. Okay? And although they may break the boundaries, whatever, and that's when you implement consequences. Whether there's blocking a person, whether that's you just not talking to the person for a while, whether that's you not answering the phone, right? Do what works for you. Always remember, you always have to do what works for you, because this is your life, pretty baby, and you do what works for you. And with that being said, I love you guys.